We need to talk about the Littlest Pet Shop Generation 7 reboot because it's a bit of a point of contention within the community. Should we be criticising basic fun, or should we be grateful we're getting anything at all? Are the new designs bad, or do we just hate change? With each generation, I find myself feeling less and less inclined to buy G7s. They're sort of completely shifting the target market of the toys in a way that feels kind of bizarre from a marketing perspective. And with the recent release of Wave 6, we saw one of the most drastic shifts in the direction the brand is being taken in, and it's making some fans worried. So let's take a look at how G7 has evolved over the years. The first wave of G7 pets was a fairly faithful revival of Generation 2, like people had been demanding for over 10 years at this point. The designs were very reminiscent of G2s, even remaking some designs. A lot of the designs they based these pets on were rarer or less accessible to many people, and I think that was definitely a positive. For example, there was only ever one bull which can sell for upwards of £40, and Basic Fun reintroduced the mold and made it affordable. You can also see that they paid very close attention to trends. For example, at the time Highland cows were very trendy, so were axolotls, leading them to make a brand new axolotl mold, which some people think kind of looks like a bald man, but go figure. The new capybara mold was introduced in Wave 2, an animal that was also very on trend for younger and older generations alike. There were definitely some flops with this generation, I'm not gonna deny that, but for the most part this wave displayed an understanding of the current trends and demands, and were quite thoughtful with the designs in a way to appeal to both adult and child collectors. I think some people were of the opinion that Basic Fun was kind of reheating Hasbro's nachos here by re-releasing previous designs, but I don't really see that as an issue because LPS fans famously do not like change. It's one of those situations where you can't really please people either way, and I don't think testing the water by making familiar designs that aren't too out there is a bad idea. One very glaring issue with this reboot though that every fan could agree on was the quite frankly unacceptable quality control issues. Gen 7s with misprinted eyes, messy paint, dirt, etc. were being found way too often. I don't know a ton about factories, but do you not hire a person who checks them over and says maybe we shouldn't sell this one because its eye is on its forehead? Other issues include one of the collector's cards having a Shutterstock watermark on it, and this Timberwolf with not one, not two, but 3 LPS logos printed on it. I think it's very important to discuss the market trends because now more than ever, companies want to appeal to both adults and kids at the same time. The kidult market is very on trend right now, and it's kind of sparked this wave of nostalgic companies rebooting just because nostalgia is so marketable right now. But it can be difficult to balance that appeal between children and quote-unquote kidults. And I think Basic Fun was very conscious of this. For example, they included codes with pets that could be entered into a Roblox game, which is something that is very popular with younger generations and adds like a secondary incentive to collect LPS for them. The Roblox game was kind of a flop, and they eventually started phasing the code coins out, but it still showed an attempt at appealing to children. Design-wise, the first few gens of Wave 7 had some designs that were great and some that were not so great. Gen 7 introduced something known as personality marks, symbols incorporated into each design to indicate the pet's personality. Some of these were approached in a very creative way, but a lot of fans felt like most of these personality marks felt quite forced and out of place. Basic Fun seemed to gravitate towards using more unusual molds like the possum, the pet triplets pets, they loved this bird, the seagull, etc. They began to reintroduce the fan favourite main 5s in Wave 3, but for the short-haired cat it seems they had to redo the mould as they had a flatter face and longer neck. I do think in a lot of cases I really like the representation for some more underrated moulds, but they just seem to really fixate on ones fans didn't like at all, like this bird. But some of the designs were really strong. I think this Valentine's Day deer is like top tier, better than a lot of G2 designs. So Generation 7 got off to perhaps a controversial start, but ultimately it still sold well. Wave 5 was around when fans started to feel a little bit alienated by the direction the brand was going in. The Sweet and Sour Blind Bag series is definitely not a fan favourite because of the over-the-top colours and patterns, and like not even in a good way. One design I did really like was the strawberry shortcake rhino from this set. The concept art showed it being primarily white with a nice complementary shade of pink, but instead on release this was changed to 2 completely clashing shades of pink. My theory is they changed it because it looked a little bit too much like Meringue from Animal Crossing, but come on, you could have picked 2 shades of pink that actually worked together. If we look at the mock-up designs for these pets versus the officially released ones, I think these choices become all the more confusing. For example, I really like this peppermint kind of inspired German Shepherd. They replaced the white with blue in the final version. Same with this purple and white cat, blue again, and this rabbit design, also blue. Maybe I'm missing something, but I can't understand why you have these perfectly good designs and think, let's make them worse. They also scrapped a lot of the leaked designs. Like this really cool hot sauce shark. Maybe he'll return one day, but like I don't understand why they would scrap the good designs and keep the ones people don't like. Wave 6 released very recently and put a lot of new and interesting twists on the brand. One new change is the world building. A map was created of the LPS world, which I really like. I think this has virtual world potential. That would be really cool. The 4 subsidiaries LPS were divided into was Fairy Tale Forest, Glam Glacier, Cyber Pet City, and Pawsville Plaza. The Fairy Tale Forest features mostly woodland animals with mostly shades of green, brown, and pink. I think this is my favourite of the themes. I think most of these designs are really strong. Pawsville Plaza features cats, dogs, and pandas with a mostly pink and blue colour scheme. I don't really know how pandas fit the theme here, but sure. Cyber Pet City features mostly galaxy-themed colour palettes, which I think is an unusual choice because G6 did galaxy pets and they were not popular. As cool as it looks, maybe it's a little bit dated. Something that's really on trend right now is alien animals, and I feel like if they wanted to do a space theme, they could have done something with that. And finally, the Glam Glacier features animals that live in cold or snowy climates, with a mostly pastel blue, pink, and purple colour scheme, which are colours I really love together. So whilst these seem like a fun concept, I do worry that having these themes they stick to will make the colour palettes of the pets quite restrictive. Wave 6 has 8 brand new pet pairs sets, and out of these pet pairs, bar the Afghan Hound, there is not a single natural coloured animal. I'm not opposed to them being colourful whatsoever. In fact, my favourite pets are postcard pets from G2, but I feel like a good mix of natural and colourful pets would just make sense to include all of the fans because they all like different things, and some people only collect natural coloured pets. Even as someone who enjoys colourful things, a lot of these colours and patterns feel very random, very unintentional, almost reminiscent of like cheap knockoffs. I do think the tiny little eater bag like carry purses are a great idea though. They are trying very hard to introduce gimmicks here, whether that is metallic paint, fuzzy ears, and these huge tails almost reminiscent of palace pets, but like in a bad way, or baby LPS. I absolutely love the original Mummy and Baby LPS sets, but Basic Fun takes on an interesting puppy surprise-like take on this, where each set you buy can come with between 2 and 4 babies. Which I'm a little torn on because I think it's a cool idea, but also I'd be pissed if I only got 2. One thing from this wave I thought was especially bizarre is that they completely got rid of accessories, replacing it with a pot of sequins to stick on the pet. This really brings into question like who are they making this for, because clearly they're pivoting towards an aesthetic that appeals more to children, but children play and taking away the accessories gives them nothing to roleplay with, nothing to spark their imagination. So what demographic is this supposed to be for? Sorry if this is off topic, but like someone just left their kid with me in the city the other day, so I just had to like babysit this random kid for 20 minutes. And we had a lovely chat about the amazing digital circus, but like kids need to play. And I think we need toys to reflect this now more than ever, because if I was concerned for Gen Alpha's well-being before, I definitely am now. Not supervising them in real life or on the internet, pick a struggle. Something else that was leaked recently for Wave 6 were LPS keychains, which I think definitely displays some trend awareness as bag charms are huge right now. And a lot of people hand make beaded LPS keychains, which I think is another pro of G7's because you don't feel so guilty sticking a screw in their head to make these. But when artists are making these lovely handmade beaded charms, I think I will stick to buying from them. Let's talk about what I do like from this generation because it's not all negative. I think the Chihuahua and Chinchilla head swap to make a red panda is really fun and creative. A lot of people don't like it, but I do. The brown basset hound is really nice, feels really reminiscent of a G2 pet. This pink and green raccoon is gorgeous. I will definitely be looking to buy this. From the leaflet image, I did really love the new moth mold. I think it's a good animal choice that definitely has potential, but once I saw the actual figure now, I'm not so sure. He looks like he's trying really hard not to fart. This Afghan hound and cat duo has been a topic of a lot of discussion in the community. Unpopular opinion, but I really love G6 and I think this cat is really cute. Maybe reintroducing G6 pets isn't the best idea because it makes the style look a little bit inconsistent, but if you ignore that, I'm not complaining. The Afghan hound, on the other hand, I don't know, I think it's the eyes. I can only imagine the boardroom discussions when creating some of these pets. Colours that complement each other, that's been done before. What about like a mustard yellow, a fluorescent neon orange, and like a puke green? And yeah, put it in a spotty pattern so it looks like it has a disease. Use a popular mold, are you crazy? How about the generation everyone famously hated? Yeah, let's use one of those molds. Ta-da, it's beautiful. I think one issue that is important to discuss from this generation as well is the child influencer collab. They are collabing with Like Nastia, a 12-year-old YouTuber with over 130 million subscribers. I am of the opinion that parents making their kids become influencers is a form of exploitation or even grooming. I don't think they have the capacity to consent to what comes along with internet fame, and there are not the proper laws in place to protect these children. I just feel very passionately against child labour, and it feels weird to me that Basic Fun would kind of contribute to that. I do love the designs on these pets. I think the blue eyes are gorgeous, and I think this will definitely introduce some new fans to LPS. But I don't think people are criticising this like half as much as they should. If you have Netflix, I would really recommend watching the documentary series Bad Influence, because it goes into the behind the scenes of how child influencers are exploited. Another thing I think is important to address is just how drastic the time between releases in different countries is. Where I live, we get releases more than 6 months later than America. For example, Wave 6 has already released and we've only just gotten Wave 5. The internet is a really valuable resource in marketing a product, but by the time they get here, everyone's stopped talking about them and they've already moved on to the next wave. And I would still consider myself lucky because I'm sure there are countries that are still on Wave 1. So many pets never leave America. We don't get most of the seasonal releases. For example, I really like these Valentine's Day pet pairs. It's June now, no sign of them. And this just leaves me and a lot of other European fans disappointed, because I believe their seasonal and holiday inspired releases are some of their strongest and we just don't get to have them. I absolutely love the Halloween themed pets they showed at the toy fair, but I'm just like 90% positive we're never gonna see them.
So after filming this, quite a few more designs got leaked, and as always, very hit and miss. Some of the Christmas designs are great. I love this goat and the lamb, even though I prefer the prototype. But some of these are just absolute eyesores. Like, I know who's going in my thumbnail.
I'm not an expert at marketing, especially towards children. I don't know what they like except Tung 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 Sahur and K-pop demon hunters. But I'm of the opinion that children should always be the priority here, especially in the age of iPad kids. Preserving play and imagination is so much more important than us adult collectors having something pretty to sit on a shelf. So I'm very torn on this, but I think Basic Fun is not ruining LPS, they are ruining their own reputation and brand image. I am happy to have LPS back at all, even if some of them are fugly, but I don't think that makes their marketing exempt to criticism, and people are allowed to want half-decent quality control and accountability for their actions. But I think, at least personally, the revival of LPS was so valuable because it's what got me and so many other collectors back into LPS. And it also made the prices of Gen 2 skyrocket, but you win some, you lose some. Gen 2s can be very expensive and not everyone likes shopping online. So the introduction of G7 makes collecting so much more accessible and will hopefully raise a new generation of LPS lovers who will keep the franchise alive for many more years to come. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on whether you think LPS are going downhill. I'm curious to see what people think, just please respect other people's opinions, and remember that little plastic animals are sometimes just not that deep. This video compiles publicly available information with no intent to misrepresent or slander the company, and anything stated is my opinion alone. Can you tell I don't want them to come after me? But thank you so much for watching this video, feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and bye bye!